Hey, good morning. What's happening, cowboys and cowgirls? Robert Phoenix, broadcasting live from right here in the lovely Hill Country, where I have decided to indulge myself in a connection with Mother Nature this morning. It's a little warm out today and a little muggy, so I've decided to, just kind of ditch the shirt today. And this hat seems to have gotten a lot of really good reviews on the show, on the little description part of the show, the little thumbnail. So I decided to wear the hat today, and I'll tell you the story behind the hat. So welcome. It's the 3rd of September, and it looks like we have one person that is here joining us. So we'll just hang out for a little bit. I'll just give you a little ambient moment in nature there while people are showing up. There we go. Little ambient nature. You got the trees, you got the lawn. Maybe we got the hawks kind of lurking somewhere, looking to swoop down on Jasper or Rosie. Probably Rosie. Rosie, they could probably get away with because she's pretty light. Jasper, on the other hand, might take two hawks for Jasper. All right, there you go. I got a few people. We got Ani. What's going on, Ani? Coach K. Leanne, FUP77. What's happening? Nicholas Grimm. Did I go out for a streak this morning? I don't do the streak thing. I did when I was young. I think I might have been like a sophomore in high school. That was when it was all the rage, And we did streak a little bit. But I will tell you something about my past that I what's going on, Lils? So when I was about 18 or 19 years old, okay. See, this is why you want to tune in early. You get the good stories when you tune in early. So when I was about, I think it was around 18, maybe 18, 19, I lived in a place called Foster City. We'd moved from San Jose to Foster City. And Foster City was a planned community. It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Prisoner in some ways. And so we lived in a house, but there were these other housing sorts of developments or condos that were, sort of scattered around Foster City. And one of the things that they pretty much had and shared in common were jacuzzis. And so I had a buddy and a great guy, Eric, and we would hop the fence to these jacuzzis, and we would take our clothes off and we would do jacuzzis, right? And sometimes people would show up, but we didn't care, right? It was part of the shock doctrine. So we'd get these people who would come into the jacuzzis, and they'd be, wearing their bathing suits, but Eric and I we'd be naked. And part of it was for effect, and part of it was for we just didn't give a fuck, right? I mean, you're 18 years old, and you're growing up in the 60s. So we would do this. We would hop around from jacuzzi to jacuzzi in Foster City, sans any kind of attire. And it was great fun. It was a lot of fun. And I have a story that I will not share with you, but it will go into the memoirs. I'm not even gonna broach the subject right now. You're gonna have to wait for the memoirs. But I will tell you a story about one time when we were So we were in Jacuzzi World. Okay, just me and him, and let's just say that we had a little psychoactive substance in our systems. Okay. And so I had my head beneath the water line, right? So my ears were below the water, and I was looking up to the sky. It was night. It's a beautiful sky, and I could hear the jets of the jacuzzi just rumbling. And I went into some kind of like state and rant where I was talking about, I don't know, space, hyperstellar drive. I mean, I was kind of going off, right? And then all of a sudden, I looked up in the sky and there was this salmon colored pastel disc in the sky moving above us. And I saw it, and my buddy Eric saw it as well. So I don't know what was going on in that moment, but it felt, it really felt like we summoned a UFO. It was a pretty trippy moment, I have to say. And yes, I know there was a psycho, but here's the deal. Here's the kicker. We both saw the same thing, and we both described it the same way. Okay, the same way. So it was like we had this sort of independent validation of what we had experienced. So now all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh shit, man, we got an alien invasion happening. And I remember driving down El Camino in San Mateo, and there was this guy who was hitchhiking. He was like this kind of like semi-old hippie, and I said, pull over, and I rolled down the window. I said, hey, did you see it? And he said, see what, man? I said, the UFO. Did you see the UFO? What? I'm like, let's go. He didn't see it. So, he was like, he thought he was getting a ride, but no. And then I think we went to Taco La Paz, and we did that thing that happens after those psychoactive substances. You go out and eat a bunch of cheap fast food. So we went to Taco La Paz, and I said to the girl behind the counter, hey, has anybody come here tonight and talked about the UFO? She's like, what? I'm like, okay, man, that's it. That was just for us. That wasn't for anybody else. Morning. Celebrating no mandates for vaccines in Panama. Good. For now. I'm sorry, I'm a little cynical. It's funny how we coincide in many places throughout the Bay Area. Oh, it looks like it's fall. We get a little leaf falling. The leaves are falling now. Little brown speckles on the leaves. Yes, fall is here. Yeah, I was all over the Bay Area. I lived in every single part of the Bay Area. I lived in the South Bay. I lived in the North Bay. I lived in the East Bay. I lived on the coast. So I made my peregrinations all around the Bay Area. Spent most of the final years, as it were, in the East Bay, specifically Berkeley. I spent a long time in the East Bay, actually. I managed that apartment building in Oakland from 92 to 96. And then from there, I went over to Berkeley basically from 97 to 99. So what's that? That's like 6 years. And then after that, I did, let's see, I came back in 2004, 2005, Berkeley Hills. And then from 2005 really to 2012, all East Bay. So 7, and so I lived in the East Bay for 13 years, right? 13 years of my life. A lot of East Bay action. And I lived in Marin County for a little bit. That didn't last very long. I tried the Marin County thing. I lived in a place called San Geronimo in Marin County. My favorite places in the Bay Area to live were La Honda and Point Richmond. Those two places were the bomb. Total bomb. All right, let's see who else we have here in the house. I was in an earthquake in Berkeley in '86. Yeah, those earthquakes in California, they are something else. So muggy here. I'm naked too right now. Well, that's not quite true. And I'm not quite naked either. Good morning, Victoria V. Berkeley alma mater. So Terrence McKenna did a lot of research in Berkeley. Let's see. Tea time with Tessie is here. Shirley Losciavo in the house. Natasha Lloyd. There she is. See, must be ratings week. Oh yeah, definitely. You got to have a hook, man. You got to have a hook. It's all about marketing. It's all about marketing. So, sometimes you got to have a hook. That's just the way it is. Oh, there's the hawk. There's my hawk pal. Oh, I got another hawk story for you, and then we're gonna get into this thing today. I got, look, I'm lightening the mood up. I'm tenderizing you. Okay, I'm tenderizing you. This is the accent moment. Remember accent, right? That was that MSG that you just put on your food. It takes off that first layer of your tongue and makes everything taste so much better. So this is the accent moment of today's broadcast. So here's the hawk story I was going to talk about the other day. I was talking about these sweat lodges, right? So I used to go to do these sweat lodges in a place called it was just right outside of La Honda, and we get on this land, and it was a very cool experience. And this gal Stephanie, she would she was the person that would put these sweat lodges together. Now she had studied with this Charlie Tom guy. I really liked Stephanie. She was very cool. She was from Virginia, and she was really following kind of the native path, and she really took it very seriously. I don't know if she had any quote unquote native blood in her, but she did some great sweat lodges, and this was in San Gregorio. So one time we're in this sweat lodge, and it's really cooking. It's really great, really really great. And then we come out and we do the sort of the big soak moment, cold tub and everything, and we come out and we see this hawk flying in the air, and this hawk has a snake in its talons, right? And you know what that is? When you have the hawk and the snake together, you have Scorpio and you have Aquarius, right? Because theoretically, Aquarius is the eagle, right? It is the eagle, but it can also be transformed Scorpio from the snake to the eagle, right? It can be transformed Scorpio, but the next fixed sign up happens to be Aquarius, right? So, we're getting a little sunny here. So I'm going to move this way. There we go. Let's do that. All right, that's better. There we go. How about there? Get more of that tree. The tree is really the star of the show. I'm just the co-star here. So we come out and there's this hawk. It's got this snake in its talons because it just got the snake and it's taken off. And then this other hawk flies right underneath the other hawk, and it flies in from, I think, either like the diagonal or from behind, and the hawk with the snake drops the snake. It gets spooked, and then the other hawk swoops in and picks the snake off in midair and starts flying away. And we all looked at that and our jaws just dropped, right? Because we just popped out of this sweat lodge and we're all like, holy shit, do you guys just see that? It's pretty cool. Anyway, very alchemical moment. And from the old sweat lodge past. It's very hot, it's very muggy here. Even with my shirt off, I'm feeling the effects of the weather. All right, let's get this going. I'll step out of the way. Here we go. Dear blessed and holy Father, Mother God, of the great central sun within the universal light, which is life, Yeshua, Sananda, Emmanuel, we ask that only the highest and best information, truth, wisdom, and knowledge come through this channel at this time for myself and everyone who is participating in real time or after the fact. We ask for and gratefully, humbly accept the blessings of strength, intelligence, fortitude, courage, flexibility, humor, wisdom, patience, empathy, compassion, fortitude, endurance, and above all, love. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, clarified, purified, and removed from the stream. So be it. All right, let's go. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's see. Someone who works for the power company here said they were looking again. Oh, they're looking Eagle's Nest on power line. It was full of cat collars. Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. They know that cats are low-hanging fruit. They are a predatory species, and they're low-hanging fruit. Sometimes a hawk will tear the snake's head off midair in case it's poisonous. I'm telling you, man, those birds of prey, they're something else. Okay, where do I start today? Man, we have so much to talk about. First of all, let me address the gal who got popped by the Aussie New World Order fascistic police. I want to talk about that video. There was a comment left by a viewer, and I do believe that the comment was well-meaning. And I understand that we are in a time where we have to be very, very critical of our sources of information and how people can be set up, misled. I mean, you know, we've been sort of entrained in some ways, right, in kind of a negative way to be very suspicious. And, you know, there are levels of hyper attenuation and hyper discernment. And I think that's a really good practice in a lot of ways. And at the same time, there are things that do come through and slip through that are, I believe, organic events. And I'm going to stand by that video from yesterday as being an organic event. And I'll tell you why. Number one, the reaction of the woman who was being arrested was very real. It felt very real to me. You could hear the terror. You could hear the anxiety in her voice. Okay? You could hear the terror and the anxiety in her voice. I believe that was a real situation. And she was on a Facebook group in this wasn't even Melbourne. This was in a smaller part of Australia, but I do believe it was in Victoria, if I'm not mistaken, the state of Victoria. And they were planning on having a demonstration. And the demonstration she was kind of racking up on YouTube, or not on YouTube, but Facebook. And the demonstration was with masks, socially distanced, like they weren't going to break any laws. That was kind of that's where the rub was, right? They weren't going to break any laws. So that was on YouTube. I'm sorry, Facebook. I keep saying YouTube. That was on Facebook, and that was established. And that's where they got the information from. The woman's name is Zoe Lee, Zoellee. And they did a preemptive hit, right? They did a preemptive hit, and they picked her up. And this is not uncommon for Australia right now. So Alex Jones covered this yesterday, and it's quite interesting because, you know, I've been spending a lot of time on Melbourne and Australia. If anybody who's been following these YouTube streams will attest to that, because, you know, we're you know, it's really funny, right? It's like we're in it together. You know, there's that version of we're in this together, which is, I think, the bullshit shadow side of in this together. And then there's the other side of we're in this together. So when I see what's happening in Australia or New Zealand or Hawaii, this is not just those places. This is part of the corpus callosum, right? This is part of the entire body, and that we have to be as vigilant and aware of what's happening in those places as we are in our own backyards, because there's a creep happening now. There's a creep, and that creep is coming. It's coming eastward. We're seeing it in Australia, specifically Victoria, specifically Melbourne. We're seeing some of it in New Zealand. And guess what? Now it's coming towards where? Hawaii. And Hawaii is really being rolled out now as a test state for being able to pull people over, hit them with, you know, the temperature, give them the test, the swab. And I'm going to show you today how far deep that swab goes. Now, they've been using PCR, which is polymerase chain reaction protocols for the test. And doesn't work. Doesn't work. And the guy who actually discovered to the guy who discovered PCR, even came out and said it doesn't work. This is Kerry Mullis. He's a Nobel Prize winner, by the way. He's the guy that actually landed on PCR. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kerry was also a bit of a psychonaut, right? If I'm not mistaken. So I think his psychonautical experiences sort of led him to this discovery of the polymerase chain reaction. He's got a really good book. I recommend his book. It's a great book. It's his, it's his autobiography. It's a good read, really good read. And apparently he believes in astrology. So there you go. He's the package. He's the real deal. Okay. So now in Hawaii, they're doing these tests, right? They'll just test you, and they will potentially even vaccinate you on the spot. And that's troubling. That is very, very, very troubling. So here we go. I'm gonna pop your ideological cherry today, and give you something to chew on here. Oh, by the way, I'm not a newscaster. Do I look like a newscaster? Do I look like somebody who's impersonating a newscaster? Although they did have naked news for a while, back in the late 90s and early 2000s. That was Canadian. They did have naked news. Although I am not a newscaster, nor do I purport myself to be a newscaster, nor do I purport this to be a imitation, copy, or clone of a news station or news channel. And please remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. And by being a part of this stream, you are consenting to the information therein. Now, you may object vis-a-vis the comments in the chat room, or you may object vis-a-vis comments on the actual page of the broadcast in the stream. But by being here and watching this, you have theoretically consented to the content. And you have an opportunity now to not consent and to leave the stream. From this point forward, if you're here, you have consented. This is your chance. 3, 2, 1. You're now part of the stream. All right, there it is. Trump administration sends urgent request to states to have vaccine distribution sites ready by November 1st. What do you make of this? What do you make of this? Is this Donald John Trump basically taking charge of the vaccine process, the vaccination process? Is this him keeping Bill Gavy Gates kind of out of the loop? Now, they did take a bunch of WHO money and took that away from the WHO and then rerouted it to Gavy. So, that relationship, remains to be, how do we say, cloudy at best. Are these going to be the good vaccines? Are these going to be the blanks? Is this what's going to happen? Let's read this and let's try to discuss this a little further. The Trump administration is pushing all states to work urgently to eliminate hurdles so that COVID-19 vaccine distribution sites can be up and running by November 1st. Dr. Robert Redfield, director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, sent a letter last week to all governors making the urgent request, according to McClatchy. Now, McClatchy is a news service. The August 27th letter obtained by McClatchy asked governors to fast track. They didn't obtain it. It was sent to McClatchy. Nobody obtains this. It's like, oh, hey, we'd like to obtain that letter. You think we're going to obtain that letter? No, it was sent to them, right? So they can leak it out and tell people this is what they're doing. They are announcing ahead of time what they're going to do. This is, part of the esoteric program, right? CDC urgently requests your assistance in expediting applications for these distribution facilities. And if necessary, asks that you consider waiving requirements that would prevent these facilities from becoming fully operational by November 1st, 2020. The requirements you may be asked to waive in order to expedite vaccine distribution will not compromise the safety or integrity of the products being distributed. Okay, okay, this is crazy in a lot of ways. They have not done any real trials on this stuff, all right? No real trials. They are going in with guns blazing, with needles spurting, right? This is what's happening. The new report came as Dr. Anthony Fauci, an immunologist, and the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, who serves on the White House Coronavirus Task Force, expressed optimism about quickly making a safe and effective vaccine. I thought this motherfucker was sidelined. Okay, what the hell is he doing? He's still in the mix, right? He's the man in the shadows. Fauci, the nation's leading infectious disease expert, said clinical trials that are now underway in the last phase of developing a vaccine could be halted early if they prove to work. They're like, okay, the whole thing is ridiculous. They have never, ever, ever been able to create a vaccine for a coronavirus. It is the common cold. The common cold. And they've never been able to create that vaccine. Now, there's a lot of people who are getting flu shots, mandatory flu shots. You're going to get that mandatory flu shot if you want to go to school. There's a mandatory flu shot if you want to work at a school. There's probably going to be a mandatory flu shot if you want to work in general. What's going to happen to those people who have the mandatory flu shots? Have you ever been around somebody who gets a flu shot? They get sick. That's what happens. That's what happens. And it's really interesting. They have a new term. It's called the twin-demic. How apropos is that? In a time where the true node is in Gemini, what do we have? We have the twin-demic. What is the twin-demic? It is the pandemic, which is what we've been dealing with. The seasonal flu. And the seasonal flu is scheduled to be right on time because guess what? You're going to have to get a flu shot if you're going to attend certain things. So now you'll be down with the flu. And what happens if you're down with the flu? Well, your immune system is compromised. And geez, guess what else could happen? Anything that's dormant inside your system that could be activated externally or internally could erupt. And now all of a sudden you're hurting. You're hurting. So what they've managed to do is to keep pretty much most of the world, not all the world. Sweden has been rewarded. They've been rewarded because Sweden has kind of set the tone for this kind of new world order agenda. They signed on a long time ago. You know, if you ever spend a lot of time in Sweden, apparently, the attire is quite drab at times. There's a lot of sort of kind of a unisexual look and vibe, and of course we know that they were way out front taking refugees. So they've proven themselves to be very good servants of the supposed New World Order. So they got let off a little bit, didn't they? And it's like, okay, you can do your herd immunity thing. So here we go now. We're going to have this twin-demic. The twin-demic. First of all, you have to realize and understand that getting a flu shot could compromise your health. It's just the way it is. I'm being absolutely 100%, serious here, because my mother, usually gets these flu shots, and I'll be damned she doesn't get sick. She gets sick all the time. And I tell her, don't get the flu shot. I know. And what does she do? She gets the flu shot. So how's that going to work? You're going to have people that are taking the flu shot, getting sick, and then you have this phantom virus kind of floating around. And now comes the vaccine. Why do they want the vaccine at this time? I'll tell you why. They want people to vote. That's what they want. They want people to get that shot, and they want them to hit the polls. They want to say, guess what? It is safe to go out and vote. Oh, you got your shot. Yeah, maybe you could get the shot and then vote. Maybe they could do it all at the same time. Maybe if you want to vote, you've got to get the shot. You want to vote? Here you go. Get the shot. So I think they'll probably roll this thing out prior to the election because Trump wants as many people to physically vote as possible. And this is the antidote. It's not the antidote to the vaccine. It's the antidote to the Democrats telling people to stay home and vote by mail. So this has another purpose. Another purpose. So what the hell are you going to do? If this is true, what are you going to do? How are you going to deal with this so-called vaccine? It's something you probably need to think about. You know, we're about a little less than 2 months away from that. What's your plan? What's your plan? You know, and this won't be any ordinary vaccine. If you have been studying what's going on with vaccines, you'll know that this is a vaccine that'll get right down into your RNA. And more than likely, it'll get right into you and it'll probably, and again, I don't have any, there's no test studies around this, okay? There's no test studies. Once it gets in your RNA, all bets are off. It can do pretty much anything. It could render you sterile. It might just completely wipe out the God gene inside of you, and all of a sudden you just become this inert sort of non-reproductive zombie. There's a really nice couple who communicate with me from England. And by the way, I am an unofficial diamond geezer. I did not know there was such a term as a diamond geezer, but I've been dubbed a diamond geezer, and I humbly accept that title based on what was shared with me about the definition of a diamond geezer. But we were talking about, just exchanging emails. And the scenario that really came up for me is a film called Children of Men, right? And that to me is that's a huge movie. That's a huge movie because the main narrative is that humanity has become sterile. Humanity has become sterile, and there's no reproduction happening. It's a very dark, very dystopic, but it's a brilliant film. And I keep threatening to write a kind of a thesis on that, an astrological thesis. There's so much in that movie in regards to the sign of Pisces, and we're right now in, of course, Neptune in Pisces. I'll just give you one little example. The group that is a liberation group are called the Fishes. Okay, and I'll stop there. So this is a potential scenario that these vaccines could come in and absolutely, end the ability to procreate. Now we don't know. There's no trials. There's no trials at all. They say they're having trials, really, but what are the long-term effects? They may look at somebody over a 30 or 60-day period. Oh yeah, they're okay. They got really, really, really sick, super sick, but you're supposed to get super sick. But they recovered, and we tested them, and then they were negative for coronavirus. Oh, it must be working, right? But there's no long-term study. There's no long-term study with this at all. So this is coming, and you got to figure out how you're going to deal with this. It's kind of a big deal. I'm just saying. If you're not giving it some thought, well, you better put your thinking cap on. Okay, so what else is related to this? I'm going to show you what else is related to this. Now, apparently, the test for the vaccine is slightly uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And they're trying to figure out how to make this thing more comfortable for people. Well, apparently they think that that robots are really the way to go, right? That robots are going to help people feel a lot more comfortable about getting that test. So here you go. Here's Nurse Terminator, who is getting ready to stick this proboscis right up your nasal passage. You're locked in to a halo device. I'm surprised they don't even have shoulder straps on this thing. Are you kidding me? This thing is nuts, man. And look who we have here. He's stoic. He's Mr. Stoic. My God. If you've been tested for COVID-19, then you've probably experienced the unpleasantness of a nasal swab. Someone takes a long-handled cotton swab and sticks it up your nose, way up your nose, until it reaches the back of your mucus cave. You want to see how far it goes? Let's see how far it goes. Here, I'll show you how far it goes. Look at that. That's how far this thing goes. That's how far it goes. Notice the purple gloves, right? Isn't that interesting? We got the purple revolution. Hands on. There it is. Doesn't that look like? I just want to sign up for that. Jesus. And this person apparently, this person might be just too human. Maybe, just maybe, this person could talk them out of this. But they're not going to talk this thing out of it, right? Shall we watch this? I don't have the volume up. Let's just watch this thing, see how it goes. Let's see how this thing works. Oh, come on. Just play for me. Just do, come on, technology. Just do what you're supposed to do. Put on nasal clip. Okay, come on. Come on, Vimeo. Let's go. I pay you money every year. Sit properly on the chair and place your forehead attached to the chin holder. Let's just keep going. Well, there's somebody behind the screen there, and apparently they're operating the whole thing. So, I mean, technically, they could just give them the swab. The robotic arm grabs the nasal pharyngeal swabs. Okay. So here it comes. Here comes that moment. Come on, you can do it. Let's go. All right, I'm going to fast forward this thing. I'm losing patience. Facial recognition of the patient. Okay. We know who you are now. So your credit score will be intact. Your social credit score will be intact. You're being a good slave. Here it comes. Look how long that damn thing is. I'm going to keep advancing this thing. Here it goes. I'm coming in. Slightly change the direction for comfortable angle. Oh yeah, real comfortable angle. Here it comes. Robo nurse. Twist and stay 10 seconds for high quality secretion. Now I'm going to get in and twist the damn thing. Jam and twist. Oh man. Doesn't that look like fun? Jam and twist. Come on, keep going. You can do this. It looks like it's pulling out now. Oh, isn't that easy? Isn't that great? Like, why don't they just have this person do it? Why can't this person just do it? They're behind the shield. They have the map. I mean, I'm surprised it's not in a fucking spacesuit. Okay. But no, they have to have Robo Nurse do this thing. And this guy, he's just compliant. He'll fucking do anything. He'll do anything. Right? If they told him to get up and bend over, he'd probably do it just because they told him to. There's all that all important social credit score. Put the nasal swab back into the transport tube. Doesn't this look like fun? Yeah, great. Great. It's just so humane. We've heard the feedback and are figuring out how to reduce this terrifying feeling. Brain Navi is well aware of how it all looks. Our founder, Jerry Chen Chi Shao, our founder, Jerry Chen Chi Shao, was the first one to have a nasal swab from a robot, and he was terrified. Oh, isn't this interesting? God, this is a trip now. Okay? This is a trip. The same name of woman in Australia is a spokesperson for the company? What? What? It's got to be different, right? Because Lee is an Asian name. I'm hoping this is a different person. I'm just like stumbling on this. Interesting. But she says it's all a matter of familiarity. Now that is a fucking Gemini moment, isn't it? Zoe Lee's, I'm assuming they're different people. The robot has no pressure sensors to know if it's accidentally pushing into your flesh. So the robot could just ram that thing right through your nasal cavity, and you could have like you could be hemorrhaging blood and eternal bleed. I mean, this thing could go so wrong. Error, 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 error. Oh man, but Lee says the 3D imaging provides accurate and safe guidance. Oh yes. She also says if someone feels uncomfortable or in pain, they can simply move away. We're not chasing you around, she adds. Oh, not yet. Not yet. wait till the shoulder straps and shoulder harnesses are built into that thing. The machine itself is adapted from Brain Navi's main product, a robot arm that helps prepare patients for brain surgery. This recently finished clinical trials in Taiwan and is waiting on regulatory approval. The swab machine, meanwhile, has only been tested on Brain Navi's own employees. No problem. And has been approved for its own trials. You think I got a little bonus? Get that thing? Lee says Brain Navi CEO was motivated to create the machine by the SARS epidemic in 2002, 2004. Jesus. Nasal swabs are painful, even when you do it to yourself. And I think anyone should be extremely uncomfortable letting the machine do that. Oh, a doctor's actually saying something. I think for me and for the majority of patients I've come across, they would want a human who understands what it's like to be on the other side of the swab. Oh, really? Just like those people that arrested the other Zoe Lee in Australia. Oh, yeah. Sometimes humans are as robotic as the robots themselves. Doesn't that just look like a blast? Welcome to the era of Robo Nurse. It's getting more and more fun all the time. Well, let's say you don't want to get a vaccine, okay? You don't want to get the vaccine. You don't want that. That's not something you want to do. Let's say you don't want Robo Nurse sticking the proboscis up your nasal passage and accidentally ramming it and puncturing the brain-blood barrier. Let's say you don't really feel like, we don't want that. I'm not going to consent to that, okay? I'm just not going to consent to that. Well, guess what? There's another softer version that's available to you, but it's not really having to do with a test. It has to do with converting you to being able to take the test. Morality pills may be the U.S.'s best shot at ending the coronavirus pandemic. according to one ethicist. By the way, I want to thank Carlos, who sent me both of these articles. So, Carlos, thank you. Very timely. Very timely. Let's read this. COVID-19 is a collective risk. Ooh. You know, Kirk Cousins, who plays quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, basically said, yeah, man, I'm going to play football. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to get a shot. And if I die, I die. Good for Kirk Cousins. Good for Kirk Cousins. I'm taking a risk. You got to go. You got to go. Good for him. Let's see how long the NFL will allow Kirk Cousins to have that statement. He's on the clock. And maybe in the next 48 hours, he will say, you know, I was on an interview situation and I was really misinformed about the dangers of coronavirus. And now that I've found out in greater detail of the effects and the damage that it can cause, I've decided that I'll do whatever it takes to protect myself and my teammates. He is on the clock for that. All right, here we go. When someone chooses not to follow public health guidelines around the coronavirus, they're defecting from the public good. The public good, the greater good. It's the moral equivalent of the tragedy of the commons. If everyone shares the same pasture for the individual flocks, some people are going to graze their animals longer or let them eat more than their fair share, ruining the commons in the process. Selfish and self-defeating behavior undermines the pursuit of something from which everyone can benefit. Well, first of all, what if you're not a fucking cattle owner, okay? Second of all, what if you're not a cow? There's a lot of presumptions here, but this is all based on this agrarian model. All based on this agrarian model. And you know, that's where we got into trouble. You know, when we were hunter-gatherers, when we had the predatory instinct, right? We were mobile, we were nomadic, and you had to bond together in small groups. You had to bond together in small groups in order to survive. Small groups, not large megalopolis cities. So when the agrarian age comes along, and it all happens at the same time. It all explodes at the same time. And you can see this. There's a book, what is it? It's not The Gods of Eden. It'll come to me. But there's a book that actually tracks the agricultural developments from China to the Fertile Crescent to South America, where the three staples of the agrarian society are grown. Guess what they are? In the Fertile Crescent, you have rice. You have Egypt, you have the Nile, you have rice. You have the same thing in Asia. You have rice. South America, Mesoamerica, you have corn and you have potatoes. So these were really, and then there's wheat. That's the other one, wheat. Wheat in the Fertile Crescent and in other areas, particularly places like Rome, Greece. By the way, if you were a slave in Rome, you know how you got out of being a slave? You became a baker. You became a baker. You know why? Because the work was really hard. They had these huge ovens, these huge, you know, like the brick ovens that you get your brick oven pizza from. It was like that, but you walked in there. You walked into the oven. And that's where they baked all the bread, right? They baked all the bread. And so if you wanted to liberate yourself from slavery, you became a baker. Fast track. Anyway, so what happens is now all of a sudden you get people who are in power. And what do? They bring people in and they enslave them. What do? They make them work in their fields. They make them mass produce food. And we go from being hunter-gatherers and predators to being serfs in an agrarian society. And then what happens after that is that's when armies are formed. That's when the people who are also growing the products are actually forming armies, standing armies. See how that works? Swords and plowshares. And then what happens is that once they form the armies, they go out. And in great numbers, they eradicate or try their very best to eradicate the hunter-gatherers. That's how it all worked, right? And there's actually a very interesting correlation between the people that are rounded up and brought into the agrarian system. They actually decrease in height because they're being cut off from, guess what? Protein. They're eating mostly a vegetarian or vegan diet, super high glycemic, right? And so they don't get those really important elements that will build their muscle mass. And anyway, that's where it all starts. So let's get into this a little bit more. Graze their animals longer. Who writes this shit? Democratically enacted enforceable rules mandating things like mask wearing and social distancing might work if defectors, what the fuck is this, the Soviet Union, could be coerced into adhering to them. But not all states have opted to pass them or to enforce the rules that are in place. My research in bioethics, that's one of those Orwellian terms. Bioethics, like it's good. Like, oh yes, I'm here to be an ambassador for the benevolent practice of biology, chemistry, microbiology, all the things that are associated. Yes, I am an ethical person who is trained to be a bioethicist. Basically, that's wrong. What this person has been trained to do is to enforce their version of morality and ethics through biology. Here we go. To me, it seems the problem of coronavirus defectors could be solved by moral enhancement, like receiving a vaccine to beef up your immune system. People can take a substance to boost their cooperative, pro-social behavior. You cannot make this shit up. You would think that this is like, what, The Onion? Could a psychoactive pill be the solution to the pandemic? It's a far-out proposal that's bound to be controversial, but one I believe is worth at least considering given the importance of social cooperation in the struggle against COVID-19. It's a fucking lie. COVID-19 is a lie. The CDC has basically told you that the numbers are off. They're off. They're off, but they lied about the death count. They lied about asymptomatic spreading. It's a lie. Public goods games, and I'm not saying anything that the CDC hasn't said. Okay, I'm not saying anything CDC. You can look it up. Should I reference that? I will after this, because there are people who will watch this video. Will say, "Well, show me the proof, motherfucker." And essentially, it's people that are watching this video who are on the other side who will say, thumbs up or thumbs down, not the actual video itself, but whether it stays up or not. And I'm going to show you the proof. The evidence from these experiments is no cause for optimism. Usually, here's this. Evidence from experimental in economics shows that defections are common. Defections? Defections from what? From what? Like, are we defecting from the Soviet Union? Defections are common in situations in which people face collective risks. Economists use public goods games to measure how people behave in various scenarios, to lower collective risks, such as from climate change or pandemic, and to prevent the loss of public and private goods. The evidence from these experiments is no cause for optimism. Usually everyone loses because people won't cooperate. This research suggests it's not surprising people aren't wearing masks or social distancing. Lots of people defect from groups when facing collective risk. By the same token, I'd expect that as a group, we will fail at addressing the collective risk. Okay, he's making a big, big case here, but don't abandon all hope. In some of these experiments, the groups win and successfully prevent the losses associated with the collective risk. What makes winning more likely? Things like keeping a running tally of what others are contributing, observing others' behaviors, communication and coordination before and during play, and democratic implementation. of an enforceable rule requiring contributions. Promoting cooperation with moral enhancement. It seems that the U.S. is not currently equipped to cooperatively lower the risk confronting us. Many are instead pinning their hopes on the rapid development and distribution of an enhancement to the immune system, a vaccine. But I believe society may be better off in the short term as well as long by boosting not the body's ability to fight off disease, but the brain's ability to cooperate with others. What if researchers developed and delivered a moral enhancer rather than an immunity enhancer? Jesus Christ. Pardon me. For example, oxytocin, the chemical that, among other things, can induce labor or increase the bond between mother and child, may cause a person to be more empathetic and altruistic, more giving and generous. The same goes for psilocybin, the active component of magic mushrooms. These substances have been shown to lower aggressive behavior in those with antisocial personality disorder. Okay? And to improve the ability of sociopaths to recognize emotions in others. These substances interact directly with psychological underpinnings of moral behavior. Give people enough mushrooms and they'll check out of the system. That's what they'll do. Of course, there are pitfalls. For example, while oxytocin may encourage some people to be more pro-social, it also appears to encourage ethnocentrism. That's great. Yeah, man. You know, come on over here, my white brother. I love you. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Isn't it great to be white? Oh my God. Oh, here, have another line of oxytocin. Oh yeah, this is great. About those other groups, I don't know. Let them have their own group hug. This is fucking ridiculous. And so it's probably a bad candidate for wide distributed moral enhancement. But that doesn't mean a morality pill is impossible. You notice it doesn't get into psilocybin a little bit. You get the psilocybin effect, and guess what? You're just checking out of society in general. Who is this person? Naomi Shallett. Oh my God. Naomi Shallett. Donate now. Donate now. This is ridiculous. Morality pills. Yeah, why don't we have, let's go full on oxytocin. And every ethnic group could have their own love-in. Right? Now all of a sudden, people, that would be interesting, right? Now people would get along, but they'd get along within their own groups. Now they might be slightly suspicious of outsiders, possibly, I don't know. We haven't done the oxytocin group experiment, or maybe they have, we just haven't had the results. Welcome to the brave new world, boys and girls. Welcome to the brave new world. This is the fourth industrial revolution. This is what you have right in front of you, right? Right in front of you. Oh, do you see this? Check this out. This is a bra that has a track.
She just brought me her bra down here. She just brought it to me. So I'm going to cut it just like the lady did on the video and show y'all what I found.
Hold on, turn this down.
Okay? Because they're trying to sex traffic our young women. And no. Hold on.
Check this out.
Hi, Dorita. What, are they in there?
No, hold
on. She just got this. So I'm about to cut this open and show y'all the tracking device that's in these damn bras because they're trying to sex traffic our young women. Yeah, because it's not in these. It's not. Hold on, y'all. We got other bras that she got.
Okay, I gotta play the volume with this. So I'm gonna stop the share. You gotta hear this. You guys have to hear this. This is mind blowing. Okay, if you haven't seen this one is mind blowing. Basically, what they're doing is they're putting what do we have here? They're putting. How do I get this on? Let me rearrange this. I got to get this on my other browser. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get this on my other browser. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get this on my other browser because I want you guys to hear the audio on this thing. Yeah. Okay, thank you. You got to hear the audio on this thing. It's crazy. It's crazy. Hold on, give me 1 sec. Let me line it up with this other browser. Here we go. You gotta hear this shit. If people are not waking up now, I'm not sure what it's going to take. I'm really not sure what it's going to take. When you see this, it'll blow your mind. Give me 1 second. I'm going to set the stage now. This woman is essentially opening up a bra. I hope it's still on Twitter. This woman is opening up a bra where she has found a tracking device. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to play the thing. All right. Now I'm going to set it up again so you can hear the volume on it. You can actually hear everything. Give me 1 second. And this is your Brave New World right here. This
brought it to me. So I'm going to cut it just like the lady did on the video and show y'all what I found.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let's have to cue it up. All right. This is your Brave New World. Robo nurses, morality pills, and brassiere tracking devices. Let's go. Here we go.
She just brought me her bra down here. She just brought it to me. So I'm going to cut it just like the lady did on the video and show y'all what I found. Okay? Because they're trying to sex traffic our young women. And no. Hold on. Hi, Dorita.
Mom.
What, are they in there?
No, we said
Hold on. She just got this. So I'm about to cut this open and show y'all the tracking device that's in these damn bras because they're trying to sex traffic our young women.
Yeah, because it's not in these.
It's not. Hold on, y'all. We got other bras that she got. And look at it, y'all. I'm opening it up.
Is that it right there?
This is the fucking tracking device. Look at this shit.
Oh my god.
Look at that. Straight out of the bra that she just brought, ladies. That she just brought. Y'all need to check y'all daughters' bras from Pink. Not from Victoria's Secrets, but from Pink. Here it is. Share this with you guys. Share this with everybody that you guys know. And let them know to check their daughter's bra for this tracking device. It's numbers on it and everything. It's this shit's real. Look, her other bras.
These are old.
These are old.
They say Pink. Look.
And it says Pink. And it's not on them. She just bought this one. And I've seen the video. And I cut it out. So y'all tell me who's crazy. That lady's not crazy. And these are tracking devices. This looks like a fucking camera or something. I don't know if y'all can see it real good. But bang, there it is.
That black thing.
Yeah, that black thing. I don't know, y'all. Y'all check y'all daughter's bras from Pink. I'm just showing y'all what I seen. And this is on her new bra that she just brought. Not any of she has old ones here. They're not on the old ones. But they're on the new ones and it says Pink on them. So check y'all bras and make sure y'all take them tracking devices out.
These is thin.
Yeah, these are thin. Yeah, this was hard. This one was hard.
It needs a thin. It ain't got words on it.
So y'all check them. Because here it is. Right here.
Oh my god. I can't sit.
Just wanted to give y'all pre-warning.
There you go.
She just brought me her bra down here.
There you go. There's your Brave New World. Morality pills, robo nurses, and tracking devices in the bra. Now, I guess one could make a case that maybe that thing in the bra isn't really a tracking device. You know, that it just might be connected with, I don't know, theft. Maybe if you walk out of that store and maybe you steal that bra, they will track you down, perhaps, and punish you. I don't think that's the case. Now, I don't know if that thing's a camera or not, but that is fucking weird. Am I right? They have this a lot in new clothes. It's for inventory. Okay. That's fair enough. Fair enough. It's for inventory. But did we need it before? Did we need it before? And what is to prevent them from tapping into that code, even if it's for inventory? Indiana, you would know because that's your world. And I know that that's your world. You're engaged and involved in fashion. So, could both things be equally true? Could they both be equally true? Now, I don't know about the camera thing. Like, how's it going to take a picture? I don't know. I don't know about that. But even if it is for inventory, why would you want to have some sort of RFID transmitter like next to your mammary glands? Like that can't be healthy in the long term, right? Because that thing is basically transmitting a signal, or if it's not transmitting a signal, it is being picked up and is allowed to be tracked through some form of receiver, right? So even if it's benign, even if it's just benign for inventory, it can't be good for the mammary glands. That's all I'm saying. So thank you, Deanna, for your professional insight. But again, we got on pretty well without inventory tracking devices for quite a few years. But I guess now it's all the rage. So speaking of the rage, Kyle Rittenhouse, his name is in the title of today's show, so I will talk about him a little bit. I every now and then I stumble across the quote unquote mainstream news, and I stumbled across something on, I guess, CNN, and they were doing profiles of all the guys that Kyle Rittenhouse supposedly murdered, but they left one of them out. They conveniently left one of them out. They were skateboard guy and the guy who pulled a gun on Kyle, who got his bicep blown up. They were basically saying that these were good guys. They were young Americans. They were out there protesting and fighting the good fight against racial injustice and equality. But they failed to talk about Mr. Rosenbaum. And I wonder why. Let me show you why. Let me show you why they didn't really talk about him. Okay? His legal records are available for just about anybody to see. So this is the pre-sentence report. This is the guy, right? Joseph Don Rosenbaum. Around the end of February 2002, an acquaintance of the defendant brought him home to stay after the defendant was asked to leave his mother's residence. He got kicked out of his mother's home. He got kicked out. The mother said, "Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here, you reprobate." His own mother kicked him out. The acquaintance was the husband of one of two sisters and a cousin who lived in the same neighborhood. For about a month, the defendant stayed at all three women's homes and had contact with their sons, the minor victims. The 5 victims range in age from 9 to 11 years old. 5 victims, 9 to 11. Interesting sequence of numbers. The mother was the mother of one of the victims noted a burn mark on her son, March 29, 2002. When she asked him about the mark, he made allegations of sexual molestation by the defendant. So she called Pima County Sheriff's Department. Later that evening, forensic interviews were conducted with all 5 victims, and blank blank reported the defendant touched his and exposed his own and saw the defendant to the point of, and he showed him magazines depicting naked adult females. A blacked out was by the defendant on March 27, 2002, as was his twin. Hello, True No Gemini. Blank, blank, blank also were shown adult pornography. And while the defendant showed them these images, he, with his own, to the point of, blank, blank, reported that on March 27, the defendant performed on his and had him perform. Okay, all right, you see where this is going? This is the guy, the first guy that got shot. Here we go, it's all there. It's all there, right? There are pages of this. Pages. Alleges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 11 counts. And this goes on and on and on. There it is. So the mainstream media seems to have decided that they don't want to talk about Mr. Rosenbaum. They want to leave him alone. And you can see why they want to leave him alone, because he was a complete and utter reprobate. He spent, 12 years in prison. And then what does he do? He decides that he's going to, stand up for Black Lives Matter, BLM. And the confrontation that happened was that apparently he and a few others had lit a dumpster on fire. Okay, they lit a dumpster on fire, and they were pushing it. But this is the guy that started the dumpster burn, and he was running around Kenosha saying, "Shoot me, Anna! Shoot me, Anna! Right? Go on, shoot me, Anna!" That was him. All 5'3" of them. All 5'3", 36 years old, Mr. Rosenbaum. So he had lit a big dumpster and was essentially going to use that dumpster. This is what they do. They use the dumpster as a kind of rolling, sort of blazing battering ram. And I think they were going to take it to that gas station. That's what was going to happen. And Kyle Rittenhouse got in the way. He got in the way of the dumpster fire. That's what he did. And that guy was pissed at him. And he went running after him. And when there was this, wasn't a theory, but it was speculated that he had thrown a Molotov cocktail at Kyle Rittenhouse. What he did is he threw something from the dumpster, something that was on fire. I don't know what it was, but you can see it leave his hands. It looks like, a kind of a Molotov cocktail flash. It leaves his hands. And that's where everything becomes like the grassy knoll behind those cars. And that's where there's a shot that's fired. And then there are a series of other shots that are fired as well. So that's the dude, okay? And the reason why he went after Kyle is because Kyle stopped his little dumpster fire. That's what happened. And he was pissed. And he went running after him. So, but the media, mainstream media, they won't talk about him. They won't talk about him. Now, if you wanted to be real stealthy, you could look that stuff up. You could go post that on Don Lemon's Twitter page, or you could post it on anybody's Twitter page that is connected to the mainstream media. It doesn't matter if it's the left or the right. Maybe they should have a look. That's a public record, by the way. That's a public record. I'm not sharing anything with you that is not part of the public record. And that guy was a menace. He was a total menace. I guarantee you, he did not have an easy time when he was in prison. You've seen his prison rap sheet. It was a mile long. So he did not have an easy time in prison. Because if you go into prison and you are a convicted pedophile, your ass is grass. Because a lot of guys in prison have been violated. And they know somebody's been violated. And they will go after the shadow transgressor. That's what happens. That is what happens. All right. So how do we round this up today in a way that is meaningful and positive? Well, first of all, we have to expose what's lurking beneath the surface. We don't expose what's lurking beneath the surface, you don't have a chance to understand it. You don't have a chance to understand it. And we are being essentially shepherded into the brave new world, right? The brave new world, we're talking about the, fourth industrial revolution, the great reset, okay? And they will do everything in their power to shepherd you into that world. And you must resist. You must resist at all costs, really. You must resist. Now, how you resist is different. And you can resist in ways that, number one, you won't break any laws. That's number one. You won't break any laws. Number two, you won't harm anybody. You won't harm anybody. There's no harm involved, right? No harm involved. These are the things that you have to wrap your head around. Within the letter of the law and with no harm intended for anyone, you must resist. If you do not resist, guess what will happen? This thing will continue to advance and advance and advance and advance. Now, I put out a 21-day challenge around facing one's fears, and some people have actually taken it up. And, you know, I would say, hats off to you. Hats off to you for doing that. That's great. That's great. I got something on my scorecard today that I'm going to take care of. It's a big one for me. It's a big, what I'm going to do later today, and again, all within the bounds of everything, is it's the equivalent of like maybe a week. All right. So I'm quantifying my my effort in sort of larger terms. But it's so we all have to do our part. By the way, we did our unmasquerade yesterday in the local HEB, and there were 5 of us. We need more people, you know. And this is the thing that that concerns me about humanity, right? Like this is just an easy, like 10 to 15 minute exercise that has really no ramifications in a hardcore way. And, you know, it's like we got 5 people. If you're too busy, if you are too busy to do something like that, you know, which is easy, it takes 10 minutes of your day, maybe 15, 20, okay? Maybe 20 max. If you're too busy for 20 minutes of kind of, you know, fourth wall breaking agitprop, then we're in trouble. We're in trouble. You know, there's a person here who lives in this town, you know, kind of a friend, right? It's kind of a friend. It's her, you know, this is a day where it's her day off. Like the day that we do this is her day off. And on her day off, she just wants to go out and have fun. She just wants to have fun. That's her day off. She wants to have fun. And look, I get it. I get it. But you think you could incorporate a day of fun in 20 minutes of your time to participate in something that could be meaningful. But that's, you know, that's not the case. And I'm telling you right now, you know, there's going to come a time where they'll, you know, that door could be really slammed shut, and any attempt or any kind of, you know, interesting, soft psychological kind of reorientation around these things, good luck. Good luck. So, you know, it's all about what we are willing to sacrifice. You know, if you haven't watched the miniseries America, I highly recommend it. There's stuff in that miniseries that'll blow your mind. And one of the things, there's a big speech by Robert Urich, Peter Bradford, who basically says that Americans weren't able to sacrifice anything, that they wouldn't join an army unless they were paid well. They wouldn't perform public service unless it became a career, right? And there's some truth to that. There is definitely some truth to that. And people are just not willing to sacrifice their comfort. They're not willing to sacrifice, you know, their so-called social standing. They're not willing to do any of that stuff. You know, somebody else is going to do it. Somebody else is going to do it. Oh, I'm going to get in touch with my congressman. They're going to do it. They're going to take care of things. That's why we vote them in. Somebody else is going to do it. Just keep passing the buck. Well, we can't do that anymore. We just can't do that anymore. It's not, you know, that's not where it's at. And again, I'm not advocating or pushing anybody to do anything illegal. Please understand that. Please understand that. Nothing outside the bounds of the law, and nothing that would harm any other individual at all. I would never, ever, ever advocate anything like that. But there are things that you can do that are surreptitious and playful in the realm of the trickster, in the realm of Hermes, in the realm of Gemini. This is what's available to us now. Think outside the box. Think asymmetric, right? That's what it's about. So this is really, again, a subtle call to action, and action in your own life. I'm not suggesting you go out and, tangle with, Antifa on the streets of Portland. I'm not suggesting anything like that at all, right? And a lot of this has to do with your own inner structures as well. And what are you able to look at, deal with, handle, confront? That's where we are. We are on the front lines of the self. We're on the front lines of our own divine dispensation. How do we allow for the Logos to come into our lives and enter into our lives? We have to participate with that. And that is the nature of the sextile in astrology. So we're in a sextile moment in time. We're really in a sextile moment in time. Take advantage of it. Right now, Neptune is in sextile with Jupiter. It's an opening. It's a potential opening. So, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Neptune is in sextile with Pluto as well. It's an opening. It's a personal opening, and it's a collective opening. So walk through the opening and reclaim your power. It's there. It's in each and every one of you. And it's not a power that is egotistical. It's not a power that is vain. It's not a power that is arrogant. It is a power that's loving. And it's a power that is rooted in truth. It is a power that is a facilitator of magic, of real magic. And when you take those steps in your life, guess what happens? You open the door to magic. You open the door to synchronicity. You open the door to a lot of things that come into your life in a very profound way. And the only thing that's stopping you is you. Nobody else. Nobody else is stopping you. It's you. And it's okay. It's really okay. Take baby steps. Just do things that are slightly outside your comfort zone. Do things that are, going to have you address a certain phobia or fear. Do things that are contrary in some ways to the way you've been doing things. So for somebody like me, maybe it's I need to shut up for a while. But this is what I'm urging people. Stage your own personal revolution. The revolution inside of you. Have a radical reorientation with your own self. Right? Storm the gates of your own normality in some ways. Tear down those walls. That's all I'm advocating, really. And I wouldn't advocate anything that I haven't done or am attempting to do in my own life. Because guess what? We're in it together. We're in it together. Okay? All right. So why don't we end right about there? Now, again, I want to remind you, we got a big webinar on Saturday about relocation. I think I've got about maybe 15 people that are signed up. Links right there in the show page. Okay. And then the event is happening, and the link is there as well. And look, I don't want to be a hardcore salesman on this thing, but I know we got a month. It's a month out. Flights they're still cheap. I'm telling you, you can get here from most parts of the country for about $99 one way. About $200 get you out here. If you want to drive, that's available too. There are people from other parts of the country that you may be connected with and try to figure out how to get there with them. That's already happening. There are a couple of people that are carpooling down from Montana. So there are ways to make it happen. Okay, ways to make it happen. And I think it's worthwhile. If it's even just to get together and hang out with people in a situation that is going to be about as free and liberating as you can under our social circumstances at this time. Okay, so that link is there as well. I need everybody to be on board by the 10th. Okay, you got to be on board by the 10th. That's it. After the 10th, I'm shutting it down. That's it. That is the Maginot line right there. After the 10th, you're not getting in. So you got 8 days. You got 8 days to figure it out. You have 8 days. Okay. And the other thing, if you do not want to stay at the hotel, There are other hotels in the area. There are plenty of them there. And Ani is helping out with the coordination of room shares. And she'll even help you out with some of the other hotels in the area. And I don't have any rooms blocked off there. I did last year, but you don't really have to. You know, I think last year it was the Holiday Inn Express. Pretty good rate, decent rooms. So that's another alternative, although it's a lot more fun and easier if you are staying at the hotel there. Tomorrow, speaking of the event, in hour number 2 of the Friday Forecast, our good friend Masaki Miyagawa will be joining us. We'll be talking about what's happening on the streets of Los Angeles. We're going to talk about part of Masaki's other hat he wears, which is the hat of a DJ. That's right. Masaki is a DJ. And he's going to be performing under his DJ name, Akaida. We're going to talk about that. And I might even see if I can get some Masaki footage of him spinning and doing his thing. So we're going to talk with Masaki. We'll spend an hour with him tomorrow. And I haven't figured out the first hour yet, but that's kind of in the works. Okay. That's it. Are the other hotels in walking distance? The answer to that is there is one hotel within walking distance. You don't want to stay there, though. Trust me, you don't want to stay there. No, they're probably about 2.5 miles apart. Okay, about 2.5 miles apart. So yeah, there it is. Holiday Inn Express. If you don't want to stay at the designated hotel, but you know you're paying a little bit more, but you're there, and I'll tell you right now, that hotel has some quality pools. And the one thing we didn't do last year, I really want to do this year, is that they have a pool that overlooks the Guadalupe River, and we're going to hang out there one day. That is going to be like it's going to be on the schedule. Okay, it's going to be on the schedule. All right, there's everything you need. Get it in by the 10th, and that's it. All right, tomorrow Masaki Miyagawa. And who knows, mystery guest. And I'm me, Robert Phoenix. Don't forget the webinar on Saturday. There's still space. So use your head in order to discern what's real. Your heart to stay open to what's possible. Thank you very much. I'm Robert Phoenix, signing off.